Welcome back. If you're anything like me, you've been tossing and turning a little bit more than usual. So if you're looking for guidance on how to get the best possible sleep during these uncertain times, we have sleep specialist Colleen Carney with us today. Hey, Colleen.
Hi, how are you?
Colleen, welcome back to the show. Sin and I are thrilled to have you with us. Here's the thing, I've not been sleeping well at all lately. So I'm wondering, is it basically just a sign of the times? Is it okay at this point to be feeling that way?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are actually feeling like they're not getting the sleep that they normally would. I think that there's stress to consider, but there's a lot of other things like being off your routine or not having routine. We're not getting light exposure. We're not able to work out the same way that we normally do. Although, interestingly, some people are sleeping better because they do have a routine and the routine suits them, physiologically speaking, better than usual.
Will say that I've been up and down, but you're actually doing clinical research of sleep patterns during this pandemic. So, what are some common mistakes that you're seeing people doing?
Well, I think one of the big ones is that they're not having a routine. And I think it's easy to think, oh, well, I don't have to get up for anything, so I'm not going to set an alarm. And I think having what I would call a latest rise time, so that you can keep it under wraps is a good thing. I think the other problem is not getting light exposure. It's tricky for us to get outside, and so we're not getting the dose of daylight exposure that we really need for our clock. And I think also people are staying way too engaged with the news cycle on COVID. I think that there's probably too much, and I think that some people are not kind of reeling that behavior in.
You're also saying that having decreased socialization can have a negative impact on our sleep schedules. How so?
Yeah, absolutely. So even this is interesting. Even animals, if we are to socially isolate them, and they're a social animal, they actually start having sleep problems and some behaviors that actually look like depression. So it is important. I think that socializing is not only important for mood, it also regulates our behaviors. So um, I'm unlikely to invite you over for dinner at 10 p.m. to eat a box of cookies, even though that's what I might do for dinner. When a person is involved, I'm going to try to reel it in and look normal. And I'm going to invite you over at a conventional time and actually have conventional things on my plate so that you don't know that I'm doing that.
Wow. I'm constantly, Colleen, policing my kids and their screen time because, it's always that thing that we so often hear that screen time can disrupt sleep. So is that right, or has that been exaggerated?
So a little bit of both. Okay. So I'm going to say that screen time is probably important. It's one of the ways that they're staying connected. I know that my kids are using screens to socialize. They're playing games online with their friends. They're certainly doing their schoolwork. There's lots of positives for your kids and screen time. There's negatives too. In addition to the blue light research, and the thing we have to consider about the blue light research is that it is highly controlled. We're selecting people who are light sensitive, young adults, teens. We are keeping them in dim light all through the day in a laboratory setting. And then we're exposing them for hours and hours and hours. And then the result that we're getting is we definitely get a result, but it's like on the order of 9 minutes that they're losing most typically. So I think we need to reel in some of the blue light focus. There's other things to worry about with devices in teens, like, are they putting away their devices? Is there FOMO, fear of missing out? Are they getting upsetting news? So I think screens are positive and negative, and I think that we are sometimes over focused on the blue light.
Colleen, I have to say, I've been having some very bizarre dreams, like visitations from people way, way back in my past, some kind of disturbing imagery at times, like a whole array. And I've been noticing online that a lot of people are tweeting about this same experience, having very vivid dreams. What would you say this is all about? Is this normal?
I'm tempted to hear more from you on this one, but I'll leave it. And I will say that many people are having this experience. So it is normal. I think there's a couple of things that are going on. The COVID related dreams probably pretty obviously are related to the stress that's and the oversaturation of the COVID related information. We're not aware of dreaming unless we wake up during or just after. So it's really more a reflection of how light our sleep is right now. There are things we can do to make it worse. So if we drink alcohol or smoke weed right before bed, we're going to make it more likely to have a bizarre or intense dream. But really, what we're seeing when people talk about vivid and lots of dreams is actually reflection of a lots of light sleep. If you want to address light sleep, then you need to be certainly more physically active during the day. That would be helpful. And making sure that you don't go to bed until you're sleepy. These are all strategies that you can do to deepen your sleep.
Okay, I want to talk more about this, Colleen, but it's the actually getting to sleep part because it's almost like clockwork. You know, your head hits the pillow and then your mind starts racing, and that is not conducive to a good night's rest. So, how do we quiet our minds so we can sleep well?
Yeah, I call that the switch, right? So you're ready to go to bed, you feel very sleepy, and then you get into bed and the switch goes off. Now, one of the key things is that first part of it, which is to make sure that you're actually sleepy before you go to bed. If you're not actually sleepy, then you're setting yourself up for the switch. The other thing is that if you find that you're awake when you get into bed and it's like the switch has gone off, it's very important that you get out of bed at that time because you're not ready for sleep. And you're going to pair your bed with being awake. And it will turn the one bad night into many, many bad nights. There's also ways that we can prepare ourselves for sleep, right? So we can do things like journaling if there's likely a thought that's going to be occupying our mind, problem solving using lists and working out problems that are likely to keep you awake. Certainly meditation and using relaxation strategies in the evening. These are all good things. And having a nice buffer around your bedtime, about an hour before you go to sleep. You really need to be transitioning from your busy life as a mom and somebody at work, and to just who you are, just your being self. And so getting rid of some of your goal-directed activity. These are ways to set the stage.
You also say that the actual amount of time we are in bed can be another culprit in terms of impacting our sleep. So is there an ideal amount of time? Because I'm going to say I spend a lot of time in my bed. So maybe this is part of my problem.
Yeah, you stole the words right out of my mouth. So we always hear about not spending enough time in bed, and that's important because some people don't prioritize sleep. That's really important. But we don't hear about the dangers of too much time in bed. And when I talk about the weird dreams and having a light sleep, and that means that you do not have an adequate deep sleep drive. And spending too much time in bed actually sends a message to the system to produce more light sleep. So we don't want to do that. So discovering what the ideal amount is really, we've talked about it before in the show, trying to figure out what is the average amount of sleep that you produce. And then you probably shouldn't be in bed for more than a half an hour past that. And if you were to try that out for a week and you felt pretty good during the day and your sleep felt deeper, then you have your answer. And you can be playing around with that a little bit more. But spending too much time in bed is actually as risky as spending too little time in bed.
And what about for those of us whose work schedules have shifted, Colleen? So now that everybody's home, is there a danger in altering our internal clocks, if we kind of let ourselves sleep in maybe a little longer?
So it depends. So sleeping in a little bit longer, so say your schedule under normal circumstances actually has you waking up earlier than you would like, and when your physiologic needs are. So if you are a night owl under normal circumstances pre-COVID, you actually have to get up too early and go to bed too early. Then this new schedule may be physiologically advantageous for you. You actually may be sleeping better and feeling better. Don't panic and think, well, eventually I'm going to have to go back to work. Take advantage of the fact that right now you're getting the physiologic sleep that you should normally be getting. So don't deprive yourself of that. Is it going to hurt when you go back to work? Yeah, I mean, you're going to feel it because you're going to have to be short-changed again. But don't deprive yourself of the healthy sleep now.
Colleen, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thank you so much for this great information.
You're most welcome.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.